You know, there comes a moment in your life when you begin to realize that walking alone isn't a punishment. It's not something that happened to you because you're difficult or because you're too much or because there's something wrong with you. Walking alone is actually a sign that you've awakened to something most people spend their entire lives running from. You've awakened to your true self, and that changes everything. Most people live their entire lives trying to fit in. They spend decades molding themselves, shaping themselves, cutting off parts of who they are just to belong. They silence their inner voice because it doesn't match what everyone else is saying. They dim their light because it makes others uncomfortable. They follow the crowd even when the crowd is heading straight off a cliff. And they do all of this because they're terrified of being alone. But you're different. Something inside you refused to play that game anymore. Maybe it happened gradually, or maybe it happened all at once, but at some point you looked around and realized that fitting in was costing you everything. It was costing you your peace. It was costing you your authenticity. It was costing you your very soul. And you made a choice. You chose yourself. You chose truth. You chose to walk alone rather than walk in the wrong direction with everyone else. Now, let me tell you something important. When you make this choice, when you decide to honor your authentic self, people are going to react. Some will be confused, some will be angry, some will call you selfish, some will say you've changed, and they'll say it like it's a bad thing. They'll try to pull you back into the old patterns, the old ways of being, because your growth threatens their comfort. Your evolution challenges their stagnation. Your light reminds them of the darkness they've chosen to accept. This is why the chosen ones walk alone. Not because they want to be alone, but because they're no longer willing to betray themselves for companionship. They've learned that being alone is not the same as being lonely. They've learned that you can be surrounded by people and feel completely isolated, and you can be completely alone and feel totally connected to the universe. You see, when you're living authentically, when you're aligned with your highest self, you operate on a different frequency. Most people are living in fear. They're operating from a place of lack, of scarcity, of limitation. They're worried about what others think. They're concerned with status and image and keeping up appearances. They're running on old programming, old beliefs that were handed down to them by people who are also living in fear. But you've broken free from that. You've recognized that there's another way to live. You've seen that life can be lived from a place of love rather than fear, from abundance rather than scarcity, from possibility rather than limitation. And once you see this, once you truly understand it, you can't go back. You can't unsee what you've seen. You can't unknow what you know. This creates a natural separation. It has to. Because you're no longer resonating with the same things. The conversations that used to interest you now feel empty. The activities that used to excite you now feel meaningless. The relationships that used to fulfill you now feel draining. And this isn't because you're being judgmental or because you think you're better than anyone else. It's simply because you've outgrown those things. You've evolved past them, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's actually beautiful. Think about a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. The butterfly doesn't judge the caterpillars. It doesn't think it's better than them. But it also doesn't try to crawl on the ground anymore, pretending it doesn't have wings. It flies. It has to fly. That's its nature now. And you, my friend, you have wings. You've transformed. And now you must fly, even if it means flying alone for a while. The truth is that walking alone is often a necessary part of your spiritual evolution. It's in the solitude that you truly get to know yourself. It's in the quiet that you hear the voice of your higher self. It's in the stillness that you connect with the infinite intelligence that flows through all things. When you're constantly surrounded by noise, by other people's opinions, by society's expectations, it's nearly impossible to hear your own inner guidance. But when you're alone, when you've created that space, that's when the real magic happens. This is when you start to understand that you're not really alone at all. You're connected to something much greater than yourself. You're part of the universal consciousness. You're an individualized expression of the divine. And when you tap into that connection, when you really feel it, you realize that you have access to infinite wisdom, infinite love, infinite power. You don't need other people to validate you because you're validated by the universe itself. You don't need other people to complete you because you're already whole. Now, I'm not saying that relationships aren't important. I'm not suggesting that you should become a hermit and never interact with anyone again. What I'm saying is that the quality of your relationships changes dramatically when you're not coming from a place of need. When you're not looking for someone to fix you or save you or make you feel worthy, you're free to have authentic connections. You're free to love people for who they are, not for what they can do for you. You're free to show up as your true self, not as the person you think others want you to be. But here's the thing. Not everyone can handle that level of authenticity. Not everyone is ready for that kind of real relationship. Most people are still wearing masks, still playing roles, still protecting themselves behind walls of pretense. And when you show up without a mask, when you're genuinely yourself, it makes them uncomfortable. It challenges them. It forces them to look at their own inauthenticity. And rather than do that inner work, rather than face their own shadows, they'll often reject you. They'll push you away. They'll tell you you're too intense, too serious, too much. And this hurts. Let's be honest about that. It hurts to be rejected. It hurts to be misunderstood. It hurts to watch people you care about walk away from you. But here's what you need to understand. Their rejection is not about you. It's about them. It's about their own fears, their own limitations, their own inability to meet you where you are. And you absolutely cannot make yourself smaller to make others feel bigger. You cannot dim your light to make others feel comfortable in their darkness. You cannot go backwards in your growth just to maintain relationships that no longer serve your highest good. This is one of the hardest lessons to learn, but it's absolutely essential. You have to be willing to let people go. You have to be willing to walk away from relationships that are holding you back. You have to be willing to stand alone in your truth, even when everyone else is telling you you're wrong. Because here's what happens when you do that. Here's what happens when you honor yourself, even when it's difficult, even when it's scary, even when you feel completely alone. You create space. You create space in your life for something better. You create space for people who can match your energy, who can meet you at your level, who can appreciate you for who you truly are. You create space for opportunities that align with your authentic self. You create space for miracles to occur. But as long as you're holding on to things that no longer serve you, as long as you're trying to maintain relationships that require you to be someone you're not, there's no room for anything new. There's no room for growth. There's no room for the life you're meant to live. So you walk alone for a while. You walk through the wilderness. You walk through the uncertainty. You walk through the fear and the doubt and the loneliness. And it's hard. It's one of the hardest things you'll ever do. But you keep walking. You keep putting one foot in front of the other. You keep moving forward even when you can't see where you're going. You keep trusting even when you have no evidence that things will work out. And then something shifts. Slowly, gradually, you start to realize that you're okay. You're more than okay. You're actually thriving. You're discovering parts of yourself you never knew existed. You're developing strengths you never knew you had. You're accessing wisdom you never knew was available. You're connecting with a power that's been inside you all along. You start to see that this time alone wasn't a curse. It was a gift. It was exactly what you needed. It was the universe giving you the space to grow, to heal, to transform. It was stripping away everything that wasn't truly you so that you could finally become who you were always meant to be. And here's the beautiful part. As you become more and more yourself, as you align more and more with your authentic nature, you start to attract people who resonate with that frequency. Not people who want to use you or control you or change you, but people who genuinely appreciate you. People who celebrate your growth. People who support your evolution. People who love you not despite who you are, but because of who you are. These are your true tribe. These are your soul family. And you could never have found them if you hadn't been willing to walk alone first. You could never have recognized them if you hadn't done the inner work. You could never have attracted them if you hadn't raised your own vibration. So you see, walking alone isn't the end of the story, it's just a chapter. It's an important chapter, a necessary chapter, but it's not where you stay forever. You walk alone so that you can learn to stand in your own power. You walk alone so that you can develop your own inner strength. You walk alone so that you can connect with your own divinity. And then, from that place of wholeness, from that place of completeness, you're able to come together with others in a way that's healthy, in a way that's balanced, in a way that's truly fulfilling. But let me tell you something else. Even when you find your tribe, even when you connect with your soul family, there will still be times when you need to walk alone. There will still be times when you need to go inward, when you need to reconnect with yourself, when you need to listen to that inner voice. because the path of growth never ends. The path of evolution is ongoing. And each new level of consciousness requires you to shed another layer, to release another attachment, to let go of another limiting belief. This is why the chosen ones are always walking a path that others don't understand. They're not content with where they are. They're always growing, always evolving, always reaching for something higher. They're not satisfied with surface-level living. They want depth. They want meaning. They want truth. And that requires them to constantly move beyond their comfort zone, to constantly challenge themselves, to constantly push the boundaries of what they thought was possible. Most people settle. They find a comfortable place and they stop. They get to a certain point in their life and they decide that's good enough. They stop asking questions, they stop seeking answers, they stop growing. And there's no judgment in that. Everyone has the right to choose their own path. But if you're someone who can't stop growing, if you're someone who can't stop seeking, if you're someone who can't stop evolving, then you're going to naturally separate yourself from those who have chosen to settle. And that's okay. It has to be okay. Because you didn't come here to live someone else's life. You didn't come here to follow someone else's path. You came here to live your life, to walk your path, to fulfill your purpose. And your purpose might look very different from what others expect. Your purpose might require you to take risks that others aren't willing to take. Your purpose might demand sacrifices that others aren't willing to make. Your purpose might lead you down roads that others are too afraid to travel, but you have to follow it anyway. You have to honor it. You have to trust it, because that's why you're here. That's what you signed up for. Before you came into this physical body, before you took your first breath in this lifetime, you made an agreement. You agreed to be a light bearer. You agreed to be a way shower. You agreed to be someone who would wake up and help others wake up. Now, being chosen doesn't mean you're better than anyone else. It doesn't mean you're special in the way the ego wants to be special. It means you have a responsibility. It means you have a calling. It means you have a mission. And that mission is to live as an example of what's possible, to show others that there's another way to live, to demonstrate that you can break free from conditioning and programming and limitation, to prove that you can create a life of joy and peace and fulfillment regardless of external circumstances. But you can't do that if you're still trying to please everyone. You can't do that if you're still seeking approval from others. You can't do that if you're still living according to other people's rules and expectations. You have to be willing to stand alone in your truth. You have to be willing to be misunderstood. You have to be willing to be criticized and judged and rejected, because that comes with the territory. That comes with choosing to live authentically in a world that rewards conformity. And the irony is that the very people who judge you, the very people who criticize you, the very people who reject you, they're often the ones who secretly admire what you're doing. They're often the ones who wish they had the courage to do the same thing. But they're too afraid. They're too attached to what others think. They're too invested in maintaining their image. So instead of following their own truth, they try to tear down yours. They try to make you doubt yourself. They try to make you question your path. Don't let them. Don't give your power away to people who are living in fear. Don't let other people's limitations become your limitations. Don't let other people's fears become your fears. You know what's true for you. You know what feels right in your heart. You know what your soul is calling you to do. Trust that. Honor that. Follow that no matter what anyone else says. Because here's the truth that most people don't understand. When you're aligned with your authentic self, when you're living in integrity with your highest values, when you're following your inner guidance, you're being supported by the entire universe, you're being backed by a power that's greater than any obstacle you'll face, you're being guided by an intelligence that knows exactly where you need to go and what you need to do. But you have to trust it. You have to surrender to it. You have to let go of trying to control everything and allow yourself to be led. And that requires tremendous faith. That requires tremendous courage. That requires you to walk into the unknown without any guarantees, without any assurances, without any safety nets. This is what separates the chosen ones from everyone else. They're willing to take that leap. They're willing to trust that leap. They're willing to walk forward even when they can't see the ground beneath their feet. They know that when you're doing what you're meant to be doing, when you're living your purpose, the universe conspires to support you. Doors open that you didn't even know existed. Opportunities appear that you couldn't have planned for. People show up at exactly the right time with exactly what you need. But none of that can happen if you're still clinging to the old. None of that can happen if you're still trying to fit into a life that's too small for you. None of that can happen if you're still surrounding yourself with people who don't support your growth. You have to be willing to let it all go. You have to be willing to walk away from anything and anyone that's not aligned with your highest good. You have to be willing to stand alone if that's what it takes. And I know that sounds scary. I know it feels overwhelming. I know there are moments when you question whether you're doing the right thing. There are moments when you wonder if maybe everyone else is right and you're wrong. There are moments when the loneliness feels so intense that you consider going back, giving up, settling for less than what you know you deserve. But in those moments, in those difficult moments, you have to remember why you started this path in the first place. You have to remember what it felt like to be living inauthentically, to be pretending to be someone you're not, to be silencing your true voice. You have to remember the pain of betraying yourself, the emptiness of living a lie, the despair of knowing you're meant for something more, but being too afraid to reach for it. And then you have to remember what it feels like now, even with all the challenges, even with all the difficulties, even with all the loneliness. Because even in the hard times, there's a peace that comes from living authentically. There's a joy that comes from honoring your truth. There's a power that comes from standing in your integrity. And that's worth more than any approval you could get from others. That's worth more than any relationship that requires you to be less than you are. That's worth more than any comfort you could find by playing it safe. You are not meant to play it safe. You are not meant to live a small life. You are not meant to hide your light, or diminish your gifts, or shrink yourself to fit into boxes that were never designed for you. You are meant to expand. You are meant to grow. You are meant to become the fullest expression of who you truly are. And yes, that means walking alone sometimes. Yes, that means facing your fears. Yes, that means being uncomfortable and uncertain and vulnerable. But it also means waking up every day knowing that you're living with integrity. It means looking in the mirror and recognizing the person staring back at you. It means going to bed at night with peace in your heart because you know you honored yourself. It means experiencing a connection to something greater than yourself that fills you up from the inside out. It means accessing a joy that doesn't depend on external circumstances. It means finding a strength that can't be shaken by other people's opinions. This is what's available to you when you choose the path of authenticity. This is what's waiting for you on the other side of fear. This is what you gain when you're willing to walk alone. And it's not that you'll always be alone. That's not the point. The point is that you're complete within yourself. You're whole within yourself. You don't need anyone else to make you feel worthy or valuable or enough. You already are all of those things. And from that place of wholeness, from that place of completeness, you're able to show up in the world in a completely different way. You're able to give from a place of overflow rather than emptiness. You're able to love from a place of abundance rather than need. You're able to serve from a place of strength rather than depletion. You become a source of light for others, not because you're trying to be, but because that's simply what you are when you're aligned with your true nature. This is the gift that the chosen ones bring to the world. Not by preaching or teaching or trying to convince anyone of anything, but simply by being themselves, simply by living as an example of what's possible, simply by demonstrating that you can break free from the matrix of conditioning and limitation and create a life that's authentic and meaningful and fulfilling. And yes, you'll walk alone at times. Yes, you'll be misunderstood at times. Yes, you'll be rejected at times. But you'll also experience moments of pure magic. You'll also witness miracles unfolding in your life. You'll also connect with people and experiences and opportunities that take your breath away. You'll also feel a sense of purpose and meaning that makes every challenge worth it. Because when you're living your truth, when you're following your calling, when you're being who you were meant to be, life becomes an adventure. It becomes exciting. It becomes meaningful. Every day becomes an opportunity to grow, to learn, to expand. Every challenge becomes a chance to deepen your faith, to strengthen your courage, to prove to yourself just how powerful you really are. And the more you do this, the more you walk this path, the more you realize that you were never really alone. You were being guided all along. You were being supported all along. You were being loved all along. The universe has been conspiring in your favor from the very beginning. Every experience, every challenge, every person who came into your life and left your life, it was all preparing you for this moment. It was all teaching you what you needed to learn. It was all shaping you into the person you're becoming. So trust the path, trust the process, trust yourself. You wouldn't have been given this calling if you weren't capable of fulfilling it. You wouldn't have been awakened if you weren't ready to handle what comes with awakening. You wouldn't be reading these words right now if you weren't exactly where you need to be. The chosen ones walk alone not because they're cursed, but because they're blessed. They're blessed with the awareness that there's more to life than what most people settle for. They're blessed with the courage to pursue that awareness even when it's difficult. They're blessed with the strength to stand in their truth even when they're standing alone. And eventually, they realize they're not standing alone at all. They're standing with the universe. They're standing with their higher self. They're standing with every awakened soul who has ever walked this path before them. They're part of a lineage of light bearers, of truth seekers, of way showers who throughout history have been willing to walk alone, to be different, to challenge the status quo, to live according to a higher truth. You are one of them. You've always been one of them. And now it's time to fully step into that role. It's time to stop apologizing for who you are. It's time to stop hiding your light. It's time to stop shrinking yourself. It's time to stand tall in your truth and let the world see you for who you really are. And yes, some people will turn away. Yes, some people will judge you. Yes, some people will reject you. But the right people will find you. The right people will recognize you. The right people will celebrate you. And more importantly, you'll find yourself. You'll recognize yourself. You'll celebrate yourself. Because that's what this whole experience is really about. It's not about winning the approval of others. It's not about being liked or accepted or understood by everyone. It's about coming home to yourself. It's about remembering who you really are beneath all the conditioning and programming and false beliefs. It's about reconnecting with the divine essence that has always been within you. And when you do that, when you really do that, everything changes. Your whole life transforms. Not necessarily in the external ways you might expect, but in the internal ways that truly matter. You find peace, you find joy, you find love, you find meaning, you find purpose, and you realize that this is what you've been searching for all along, not out there in the world, but right here within yourself. So keep walking, keep trusting, keep growing, keep evolving, keep being true to yourself no matter what. Because the world needs you. The world needs your light. The world needs your authenticity. The world needs your courage. The world needs people who are willing to be themselves in a world that's constantly trying to turn them into something else. You are one of the chosen ones. And you're walking alone right now because that's exactly what you need to be doing. But you're not really alone. You're being held. You're being guided. You're being loved. And you're exactly where you need to be. Trust that. Believe that. Know that. And keep walking forward into the beautiful life that's waiting for you on the other side of fear. You are not what you have. You are not what you do. You are not even what people think you are. You are what you think you are, and right now, in this very moment, you have the power to change everything about your relationship with abundance, prosperity, and wealth. The energy that surrounds you, the invisible field that some call your aura, is broadcasting a signal every single second of every single day. That signal is either attracting wealth into your life or pushing it away. And here's the beautiful truth that will set you free. You get to decide what that signal says. Most people spend their entire lives believing that wealth is something outside of themselves. They think it's in the bank account, in the stock market, in the real estate, in the business deal. But wealth begins inside you. It starts with your consciousness. It starts with the way you see yourself and the way you see the world. If you walk around feeling poor, feeling lacking, feeling like there's never enough, then that's exactly what you're going to create more of in your life. Your outer world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner world. Change what's happening inside, and you will absolutely, without question, change what's happening outside. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're thinking, but I have bills to pay. I have debt. I have obligations. I can't just think my way into wealth. And you're right about one thing. Thinking alone won't do it, but thinking is where it starts. Because you cannot behave in a way that's inconsistent with the way you see yourself. If you see yourself as someone who struggles with money, you will find ways to struggle. If you see yourself as someone who is abundant, who is prosperous, who is connected to the infinite source of all supply, then you will start to behave in ways that are consistent with that vision. And that's when everything changes. Your aura, this energy field that extends from your body, is like a radio station. It's broadcasting a frequency, and the universe responds to that frequency. If you're broadcasting fear, anxiety, and scarcity, you're going to attract more situations that make you feel fearful, anxious, and scarce. But if you start broadcasting confidence, gratitude, and abundance, you're going to start attracting opportunities, people, and circumstances that match that vibration. This isn't mystical nonsense. This is how energy works. This is how consciousness works. This is how life works. Let me tell you something about the universe that most people don't understand. The universe doesn't care about your current circumstances. It doesn't care how much money is in your bank account right now. It doesn't care about your past failures or your present struggles. The universe only responds to the signal you're sending out right now, in this present moment. And that signal is determined by your thoughts, your feelings, and your beliefs. If you want to train your aura to attract wealth, you have to start by changing the conversation you're having with yourself about money. Listen to the words you use when you talk about wealth. Do you say things like, "I can't afford that"? Do you say, "Money doesn't grow on trees"? Do you say, "Rich people are greedy"? Every single one of those statements is training your aura to repel wealth. Every single one of those beliefs is broadcasting a signal that says, "I don't want prosperity. I don't deserve abundance. Keep money away from me." And the universe, in its infinite wisdom, says, "Your wish is my command," and keeps wealth at arm's length. But what if you started saying different things? What if you started saying, "I am open to receiving wealth from expected and unexpected sources"? What if you started saying, "There is more than enough for everyone, including me"? What if you started saying, "I am worthy of prosperity and abundance"? Do you feel the shift in energy when you say those words? That's your aura changing. That's your frequency rising. That's your signal getting clearer and stronger. Now, let's talk about gratitude, because this is one of the most powerful tools you have for training your aura to attract wealth. When you focus on what you're grateful for, you're telling the universe, "I recognize the abundance that's already in my life." And when you recognize the abundance that's already here, the universe sends you more things to be grateful for. This is the law of attraction in its purest form. Like attracts like. Abundance attracts abundance. Gratitude attracts more reasons to be grateful. But here's where most people get it wrong. They think they'll be grateful when they have more money. They think they'll feel abundant when the bank account grows. They think they'll relax about finances when all the bills are paid. But that's backwards. You have to feel grateful now. You have to feel abundant now. You have to feel prosperous now with exactly what you have in this moment before the universe can bring you more. If you're waiting to feel good about money until you have more of it, you're going to be waiting forever, because the feeling comes first and then the manifestation follows. So right now, stop and think about what you're grateful for. Maybe it's the roof over your head. Maybe it's the food in your refrigerator. Maybe it's the ability to read these words. Maybe it's the fact that you woke up this morning with another chance to create the life you want. Whatever it is, feel it. Really feel the gratitude in your body. Let it fill your chest. Let it radiate out from your heart. That feeling, that's the beginning of training your aura to attract wealth. That feeling is changing your frequency right now. Let me share something with you that changed my entire relationship with money. I realized that the universe is abundant by nature. Look around you. Nature doesn't do scarcity. When an apple tree produces apples, does it produce just enough? No, it produces hundreds of apples, and each apple contains dozens of seeds, and each seed can produce another tree that produces hundreds more apples. That's abundance. That's the nature of the universe. Scarcity is a human invention. Scarcity is a belief system that we've been taught, that we've inherited, that we've accepted as truth. But it's not true. There is more than enough. There always has been. There always will be. When you align yourself with this truth, when you really get it in your bones that the universe is infinitely abundant, your entire energy field shifts. You stop competing. You stop hoarding. You stop operating from fear. You start operating from trust. You start operating from faith. You start operating from the knowing that there's plenty for everyone, and that includes you. This shift in consciousness is what trains your aura to attract wealth. Because when you're not desperate, when you're not needy, when you're not coming from a place of lack, you become magnetic to prosperity. Now, I want to talk about something that might be uncomfortable for some of you, but it's essential if you want to transform your relationship with wealth. You have to look at your beliefs about rich people. You have to look at your beliefs about money itself. If you have any resentment toward wealthy people, if you think that money is the root of all evil, if you believe that you have to sacrifice your integrity to become prosperous, then you are sabotaging your own abundance. Because how can you attract something that you're judging? How can you become something that you resent? Money is not good or bad. Money is neutral. Money is energy. It's a tool. It's a resource. It amplifies who you already are. If you're generous, money makes you more generous. If you're kind, money makes you more kind. If you're selfish, money makes you more selfish. The money itself isn't the problem. The problem is when people have a poverty consciousness and they think that having money will solve all their problems. It won't. The only thing that will solve your problems is changing your consciousness. Change your consciousness and the money will follow. But more importantly, change your consciousness. And you won't need the money to feel whole, complete, and worthy. This is a critical point, so I'm going to say it again. You cannot attract wealth from a place of believing that you need it to be happy, because that belief contains within it the energy of lack. You're saying, I'm not enough without money. I'm not happy without money. I'm not complete without money. And the universe hears that and says, okay, you're not enough, you're not happy, you're not complete. And it gives you more experiences of not being enough, not being happy, not being complete. This is why so many people who come into sudden wealth through lottery winnings or inheritance end up back where they started or worse. Because they never change their consciousness. They never train their aura to match the frequency of true abundance. True abundance is an inside job. It's a state of being. It's a way of moving through the world. It's knowing that you are connected to the source of all supply, and that source is infinite. When you know this, really know this, you don't grab at money, you don't chase it. You don't obsess over it, you allow it, you welcome it, you receive it with grace and gratitude. And here's the paradox. When you stop chasing money, it starts chasing you. When you stop making it your God, it starts showing up as your servant. Let's talk about the practical side of this, because I know some of you are thinking, this all sounds good, but what do I actually do? Here's what you do. You start each day by setting your intention. Before you get out of bed, before you check your phone, before you start worrying about all the things you have to do, you take a few moments to align your energy with abundance. You say to yourself, I am open to receiving all, the good that the universe has for me today. I am a magnet for prosperity. I expect miracles. I expect synchronicities. I expect abundance to flow to me in expected and unexpected ways. Then throughout your day, you pay attention to your thoughts. When you catch yourself thinking thoughts of lack, thoughts of fear, thoughts of I can't afford this or there's not enough, you stop. You don't judge yourself. You don't beat yourself up. You simply notice the thought and then you choose a different thought. You say, that's an old pattern. That's the old me. The new me thinks differently. The new me knows that there's more than enough. The new me trusts in the abundance of the universe. This takes practice. You've been thinking the old thoughts for years, maybe decades. You've been running the old programs for so long that they feel normal. But they're not serving you. They're keeping you stuck. And the beautiful thing is that you can change them. Right now, in this moment, you can decide that from this point forward, you're going to train your mind to focus on abundance instead of lack. You're going to train your emotions to feel prosperous instead of poor. You're going to train your aura to broadcast a signal of wealth instead of scarcity. And here's something else you need to understand. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. If you want to attract wealth, you have to become the kind of person who has wealth. You have to think like that person. You have to feel like that person. You have to act like that person. This doesn't mean you go out and spend money you don't have. This doesn't mean you pretend to be someone you're not. This means you align your consciousness with the consciousness of abundance. You start seeing opportunities where you used to see obstacles. You start seeing possibilities where you used to see problems. You start seeing abundance where you used to see lack. One of the most powerful ways to train your aura to attract wealth is to give. Now, I know this seems counterintuitive. You're thinking, I don't have enough for myself. How can I give to others? But giving is the ultimate statement of abundance. When you give, you're saying to the universe, I have more than enough. I trust that more is coming. I know that I'm connected to an infinite source. And the universe responds to that faith, to that trust, to that knowing. It says, yes, you are abundant. Here's more. This doesn't mean you give away money you need for rent or food. This means you give from a place of joy, from a place of overflow, even if that overflow is small. Maybe you give $1 to someone who needs it more than you do. Maybe you give your time to a cause you believe in. Maybe you give a genuine compliment to a stranger. Maybe you give a smile to someone who looks like they're having a hard day. Every act of giving raises your vibration. Every act of generosity trains your aura to attract more abundance. And when you give, pay attention to how you feel. If you feel resentful, if you feel like you're giving because you should or because you have to, then that's not true giving, that's obligation. True giving feels good. True giving feels expansive. True giving makes you feel more abundant, not less. When you can give with that feeling, when you can give with joy and gratitude, you're broadcasting a powerful signal to the universe. You're saying, I am prosperous, I am abundant, I have more than enough to share. And that signal attracts more prosperity, more abundance, more wealth. Now, let's talk about your relationship with receiving. This is just as important as giving, maybe even more important. A lot of people are terrible at receiving. They can give all day long, but when someone tries to give to them, they get uncomfortable. They say, oh, you didn't have to do that. They say, oh, that's too much. They say, I can't accept this. Every time you reject a gift, every time you refuse a bed, compliment. Every time you make it hard for the universe to give to you, you're training your aura to repel wealth. You're saying, I'm not worthy. I don't deserve this. Keep it away from me. If you want to attract wealth, you have to learn to receive with grace. When someone gives you a compliment, say thank you. Don't deflect it. Don't downplay it. Just receive it. When someone offers to buy you lunch, let them. Don't make a big deal out of it. Don't immediately offer to pay next time. Just receive it with gratitude. When the universe sends you a gift, whether it's a parking space right in front of the store or a check in the mail you weren't expecting, receive it. Say thank you. Feel the gratitude. Let yourself feel worthy of receiving good things. This is training your aura. This is raising your frequency. This is broadcasting to the universe that you are open to receiving abundance in all its forms. And here's what happens when you get good at receiving. The universe gives you more to receive, because the universe loves a grateful receiver. The universe loves someone who can accept good things without guilt, without shame, without feeling like they don't deserve it. When you can receive with an open heart, you're telling the universe, yes, I'm ready for more. Yes, I can handle more. Yes, I deserve more. Let me tell you about the power of expectation. What you expect in life is what you tend to get. If you expect things to be hard, they will be hard. If you expect people to disappoint you, they will disappoint you. If you expect to struggle with money, you will struggle with money. But if you expect abundance, if you expect prosperity, if you expect wealth to flow to you easily and naturally, then that's what you'll experience. Your expectations create your reality. They shape your perception. They direct your attention. They determine what you notice and what you miss. So ask yourself right now, what do I expect when it comes to money? Do I expect to struggle? Do I expect to just get by? Do I expect to barely make ends meet? Or do I expect to prosper? Do I expect to thrive? Do I expect wealth to come to me in wonderful and unexpected ways? Your honest answer to this question will tell you everything you need to know about why your financial life looks the way it does. And the good news is, you can change your expectations right now. You can decide right now that from this point forward, you expect abundance, you expect prosperity, you expect wealth. And when you change your expectations, you have to change your self-talk. The words you say to yourself matter. They matter more than the words anyone else says to you. Because you're with yourself 24 hours a day. You're listening to your own voice constantly. And if that voice is saying, I'm broke, I'm poor, I never have enough, money slips through my fingers, I'm not good with money, then that's the reality you're creating. That's the signal you're broadcasting. That's what your aura is attracting. But what if you started saying different things to yourself? What if you started saying, I am prosperous. Money flows to me easily. I am a money magnet. I am aligned with the energy of abundance. I am worthy of wealth. I am capable of managing large sums of money. I am financially free. How different would that feel? How different would your energy be if you talked to yourself this way every single day? Your aura would transform, your frequency would rise, your entire experience of life would change. Here's something most people don't realize about wealth. It's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. And more importantly, it's about your consciousness around money. I've known people who make millions and feel poor. I've known people who make very little and feel rich. The difference is consciousness. The difference is how they see themselves. The difference is the story they tell themselves about money and about their relationship with it. You can have all the money in the world and still have a poverty consciousness. Or you can have very little money and have an abundance consciousness. Which one do you think attracts more wealth? The abundance consciousness always wins. Always. Because it's not attached to the outer circumstances. It knows that abundance is a state of being, not a state of having. It knows that true wealth is about feeling full, feeling satisfied, feeling like you have enough and you are enough. When you operate from that place, when you move through the world with that consciousness, you become magnetic, you attract opportunities, you attract the right people, you attract the right circumstances, you attract wealth. Now, I want to address something that stops a lot of people from attracting wealth: guilt. So many people feel guilty about wanting money. They feel guilty about wanting nice things. They feel guilty about wanting to live comfortably. They think that wanting wealth makes them materialistic or shallow or selfish. And this guilt is like poison to your aura. It contaminates your energy field. It sends mixed signals to the universe. On one hand, you're saying you want wealth. On the other hand, you're saying you shouldn't want wealth. And the universe gets confused. It doesn't know which signal to respond to. So it responds to the stronger signal, which is usually the guilt, the shame, the belief that you don't deserve it. Let me make this clear. There is nothing wrong with wanting wealth. There is nothing wrong with wanting to live in a beautiful home, drive a nice car, travel the world, give generously to causes you believe in, provide for your family, and live a life of comfort and ease. The only question that matters is, why do you want these things? If you want them because you think they'll make you better than other people, if you want them because you're trying to fill a hole inside yourself, if you want them to prove something to someone, then that's coming from ego. That's coming from lack. And that won't lead to true fulfillment. But if you want wealth so you can live your purpose more fully, if you want it so you can serve more people, if you want it so you can enjoy this beautiful life and share your joy with others, if you want it so you can be a living example of what's possible when you align with the abundance of the universe, then that's coming from spirit. That's coming from your highest self. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. In fact, the world needs more people who are comfortable with wealth, who can handle wealth, who can use wealth as a tool for good. So release the guilt, release the shame, release the belief that wanting wealth makes you a bad person. It doesn't. What makes you a good or bad person is what you do with the wealth once you have it. And I'm going to trust that if you're listening to these words, if you're open to this message, then you're the kind of person who would use wealth in beautiful ways. You're the kind of person who would be generous. You're the kind of person who would make a positive difference in the world. So let yourself want wealth. Let yourself desire abundance. Let yourself feel worthy of prosperity. Your worthiness is not something you earn. It's not something you have to prove. You are worthy simply because you exist. You are a divine expression of the infinite universe. And the universe wants you to thrive. The universe wants you to prosper. The universe wants you to experience abundance in all its forms. The only thing standing between you and the wealth you desire is your belief that you can't have it, or that you don't deserve it, or that it's not spiritual to want it. These are just thoughts. These are just beliefs. And thoughts and beliefs can be changed. Let me share with you a practice that will transform your aura and magnetize you to wealth. Every morning when you wake up, before you do anything else, take a few moments to feel what it would feel like to already have the wealth you desire. Don't think about it. Don't visualize it. Feel it. Feel what it would feel like to check your bank account and see a number that makes you smile. Feel what it would feel like to pay your bills without stress. Feel what it would feel like to buy something you want without having to check the price. Feel what it would feel like to be generous without worrying about your own needs. Feel what it would feel like to be financially free. Really get into that feeling. Let it fill your entire body. Let it radiate from your cells. Let it expand beyond your skin and fill the space around you. That feeling is changing your aura right now. That feeling is raising your frequency. That feeling is broadcasting a signal to the universe that says, I am wealthy, I am abundant, I am prosperous. And the universe, which always responds to your frequency, starts arranging circumstances, people, and opportunities to match that feeling. This is not magic. This is not wishful thinking. This is how energy works. This is how consciousness creates reality. And then, throughout your day, come back to that feeling as often as you can. When you're stuck in traffic, feel wealthy. When you're doing mundane tasks, feel prosperous. When you're interacting with people, feel abundant. The more you can stay in that frequency, the faster you'll see changes in your outer world. Because your outer world is always a reflection of your inner world. Always. No exceptions. Now, I want to talk about action because some people think that this is all just about sitting around and feeling good and waiting for money to fall from the sky. That's not what this is about. Feeling good is essential. Raising your frequency is essential. Training your aura is essential. But you also have to take inspired action. You have to move when you feel moved. You have to act when you feel called. The difference is that when you're operating from an abundance consciousness, your actions are inspired. They're not forced. They're not desperate. They're not driven by fear. They're guided by intuition, by inner knowing, by a sense of rightness. When you're in the right frequency, when your aura is trained to attract wealth, opportunities will present themselves to you. You'll meet the right person at the right time. You'll hear about the perfect opportunity. You'll get an idea that feels exciting and aligned. And when that happens, you have to act. You have to trust. You have to move forward, even if you don't know exactly how it's going to work out. Because the universe rewards action. The universe rewards faith. The universe rewards those who are willing to step into the unknown and trust that they'll be supported. But here's the key. You act from a place of abundance, not from a place of lack. You act because you feel inspired, not because you feel desperate. You act because it feels right, not because you're afraid of what will happen if you don't. This is the difference between hustling and flowing. Hustling is exhausting. It's depleting. It comes from the belief that you have to force things to happen, that you have to make things work through sheer willpower. Flowing is effortless. It's energizing. It comes from the belief that the universe is supporting you, that you're being guided, that things are working out for you. When you flow, you work smarter, not harder. You're in the right place at the right time. You say the right thing to the right person. You have ideas that solve problems in elegant ways. This is what happens when your aura is trained to attract wealth. You become a conduit for abundance. You become a channel through which prosperity flows. And the beautiful thing is that when you're in this state, you don't just attract wealth for yourself, you become a source of abundance for others. You inspire them, you uplift them, you show them what's possible. You become a living example of what it means to be aligned with the infinite abundance of the universe. Let's talk about forgiveness, because this is a crucial piece that many people miss. If you're holding on to resentment, if you're angry at someone who wronged you financially, if you're bitter about past failures or mistakes, you're blocking the flow of abundance. Resentment is like a dam in your energy field. It stops the flow. It creates stagnation. It broadcasts a signal of victimhood, of powerlessness, of life happens to me. And as long as you're broadcasting that signal, you cannot attract wealth. Because wealth requires you to feel powerful, to feel in control of your life, to feel like you're the creator of your reality. So you have to forgive. You have to forgive the person who didn't pay you back. You have to forgive yourself for the financial mistakes you made. You have to forgive your parents for the beliefs about money they passed down to you. You have to forgive the system, the economy, the circumstances that you think held you back. Not because they deserve forgiveness, not because what they did was okay, but because you deserve freedom. You deserve to be free of the weight of resentment. You deserve to have your energy flow freely. You deserve to have a clear, clean aura that can attract all the abundance that's waiting for you. Forgiveness is not about them, it's about you. It's about choosing your freedom over your rightness. It's about choosing your prosperity over your story of victimhood. And when you forgive, when you really let go, you'll feel a shift in your body. You'll feel lighter. You'll feel more open. You'll feel more available for good things to come into your life. That's your aura clearing. That's your frequency rising. That's the dam breaking and the flow resuming. Here's another powerful truth. You are not separate from the universe. You are not separate from the source of all abundance. You are an extension of it. You are an expression of it. The same intelligence that created galaxies and stars and planets and all of life is the intelligence that lives within you. And that intelligence knows how to create wealth. It knows how to attract abundance. It knows how to manifest prosperity. Your job is not to figure out how. Your job is to get out of the way. Your job is to stop blocking the flow with your doubts, your fears, your limiting beliefs, your old stories. Your job is to align yourself with the intelligence that created you, and then let it work through you. This is what it means to train your aura to attract wealth. It's not about learning some technique or trick. It's not about manipulating energy or trying to force the universe to give you what you want. It's about remembering who you are. It's about reconnecting with your source. It's about aligning yourself with the natural flow of abundance that is your birthright. When you do this, when you really get this, everything changes. Your entire life transforms. Not just your bank account, but your relationships, your health, your sense of purpose, your joy, your peace. Everything elevates because you've elevated your consciousness. And here's what I want you to understand. This is not a one-time thing. This is not something you do once and then you're set for life. This is a practice. This is a way of being. This is a daily commitment to choosing abundance over lack, to choosing trust over fear, to choosing love over judgment. Some days will be easier than others. Some days you'll feel connected and aligned and magnetic. Other days you'll feel disconnected and doubtful and discouraged. That's okay. That's part of being human. The key is to not give up. The key is to keep coming back to the practices that raise your frequency. The key is to be patient with yourself and trust the process. Because the process works. It works for everyone who applies it. It doesn't matter where you're starting from. It doesn't matter how much debt you have or how little money is in your account right now. It doesn't matter what your background is or what your education level is or what anyone has told you about your potential. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is your willingness to change your consciousness, your willingness to train your aura, your willingness to align yourself with the abundance that is your true nature. And when you do this, when you really commit to this, you'll start to notice synchronicities. You'll start to notice coincidences that are too perfect to be random. You'll start to notice doors opening that you didn't even know existed. You'll start to notice money coming to you from unexpected sources. Someone will offer you a job. A client will show up. An idea will come to you. An investment will pay off. A debt will be forgiven. Something will happen that wouldn't have happened if you hadn't changed your energy. That's your aura attracting wealth. That's the universe responding to your new frequency. Let me tell you what wealth really is. It's not a number in a bank account. It's not a house or a car or a vacation. Those are just symbols of wealth. True wealth is a state of consciousness. It's the feeling of being enough. It's the feeling of having enough. It's the feeling of being connected to an infinite source that will always provide for you. When you have that feeling, when you live from that place, the outer symbols of wealth follow naturally. They have to. Because the outer world always conforms to the inner world. This is not a maybe. This is not a sometimes. This is always. This is law. This is how the universe works. So stop chasing money. Start raising your consciousness. Stop trying to get wealth. Start being wealthy in your mind, in your heart, in your energy field. Stop looking outside yourself for the answer. Start looking inside yourself for the source. Because the source is there. It's always been there. It's waiting for you to recognize it, to acknowledge it, to align with it. And when you do, when you really tap into that infinite source within you, you'll realize that you've never been separate from abundance. You've never been lacking. You've never been poor. You've just been focused on the wrong thing. You've been focused on what you don't have instead of what you already have. You've been focused on the form instead of the substance. You've been focused on the outer instead of the inner. Turn your attention inward. Feel the abundance that's already within you. Feel the wealth of your being. Feel the prosperity of your spirit. Feel the richness of your consciousness. You are not a body that has a soul. You are a soul that has a body. And your soul is connected to everything, to everyone, to the entire universe. Your soul knows no lack. Your soul knows no limitation. Your soul is pure abundance. When you identify with your soul instead of your circumstances, everything changes. Your aura changes. Your frequency changes. Your life changes. This is the message I want you to take with you today. You are abundant. You are prosperous. You are wealthy beyond measure, not because of what you have, but because of what you are. You are an infinite being, having a temporary human experience. You are a divine expression of the creative force of the universe. You are worthy of all good things. You are deserving of wealth, health, love, joy, peace, and everything else your heart desires, not because you've earned it, not because you've worked hard enough, but simply because you exist, simply because you are. Train your aura to broadcast this truth. Train your mind to think from this truth. Train your heart to feel from this truth. Train your actions to come from this truth. And watch what happens. Watch how your life transforms. Watch how opportunities appear. Watch how money flows. Watch how abundance becomes your natural state. Because it is your natural state, it's who you've always been. You've just forgotten, but now you're remembering. And that remembering is changing everything. The universe is abundant. You are the universe. Therefore, you are abundant. It's that simple. Let go of everything that contradicts this truth. Let go of every belief, every thought, every feeling, every story that says you can't have wealth, you don't deserve wealth, you're not capable of wealth. Those are lies. Those are illusions. Those are programs you inherited from people who didn't know any better. But you know better now. You know the truth, and the truth will set you free. The truth will make you wealthy, not just financially, but in every way that matters. So go forth from this moment with a new consciousness. Go forth with a new energy. Go forth with a new aura that is trained to attract wealth in all its forms. Know that you are supported. Know that you are guided. Know that you are loved by a universe that wants nothing more than for you to thrive. Trust this. Believe this. Live from this. And watch your entire life become a testament to the infinite abundance that is your true nature. You are wealthy. You always have been. You always will be. Now claim it, own it, embody it. And let your aura shine with the unmistakable frequency of prosperity, abundance, and wealth.